What is good, YouTube? It is your boy Sam, and I am back with the next episode. We've been staying consistent so far. I had to bring you guys another banger. I'm currently out of town right now. As you could tell, my setup is a little bit different, but I still made sure I'm bringing you guys that knowledge, okay? So make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, and you share the video as well, okay? So today's lesson of Sam Datman's finances, we're going to be discussing the importance of capital and compounding your money. So if you're just starting out, this is going to be a great opportunity for you to build your portfolio, even though you may not have, a whole lot of knowledge when it comes to trading in stocks, which we'll get as we go along, right? So that's why we're on this journey here together. So that's why you got to make sure you tap that subscribe button and, you stay with the fam, okay? So when I say compounding, what do I mean, right? So that could mean various different things, right? But when it comes to, investments such as trading stocks, it is very important that you have some kind of capital, right? So it's not like you can invest starting at $0. You need at least, I don't want to say at least $1. You could start out with lower than that, but realistically speaking, and just for the sake of the conversation, you want to start out with like at least $1, right? However, how that's going to work is you're going to deposit funds into whichever brokerage you decide to go with. I like to use Robinhood. Robinhood is just very convenient. They have an application on the phone. You can just kind of download if you have an Android or an iPhone. So it's just very convenient. It may not necessarily have all the tools such as, Thinkorswim or E-Trade or other trading platforms, but it has what you need to execute the trade. So you could always use a different software, kind of gather your information from there and execute when you're on the go later on, or when you kind of reach those levels that you want to reach, just looking at price action. Okay, so first thing you want to do when starting out a new portfolio is you want to consistently deposit funds into that portfolio. I know it sounds like a lot. I know it sounds demanding. You might be saying, I don't have any money. I don't have any money to invest, right? But believe it or not, if you invest maybe just $5 a week, that's going to compound, over quite some time, right? Actually, let's do the math on that. So $5 a week into your Robinhood account, right? It's not too much. It's not too much to ask for, is it? Let's start with that. $5. Let's see. Got my calculator here. Okay, already have some values here. So 5 times 52, right? It's 52 weeks in a year. Let's see how much that equates to. $260. Look at that, $260. Okay, so you could pretty much set automatic deposits to where you do that. If you want, you can get a little bit more aggressive. You could do $100 a month, right? So we got 12 months, so that's going to be $1,200. Basic math right there, right? And by the end of the year, let's say you were to start in January, you would have $1,200 of trading money when it comes to your portfolio, right? So that's a lot of buying power, right? To start out with. You're already into 4 figures right there. Okay. Not only that, Robinhood also provides this thing where you could pay for Robinhood Gold, and I guess you get 3.5% APY, if I'm not mistaken. I might have to fact check that, or you might have to fact check me on that. But essentially what that is when your buying power sits there, as time passes, it accumulates interest, and it's a lot more return than having money in like a CD, at the bank, right? So that's definitely something to consider. So make sure you set up those automatic payments on Robinhood or whatever brokerage platform you use, so that way it is withdrawing money, from your account on a periodic basis. And by the time you look, let's say a couple months down the line, you're gonna have a lot more money. Another good app you could use is Acorns. Acorns app is a really good app when it comes to compounding, some residual change or cash that you might have laying around. So basically how Acorns work, and no, this is not a sponsorship, so If there are any financial companies out there that want to sponsor your boy, Sam That Man, just make sure, you give me a follow, email, and, we can make something happen, right? But with that being said, so the way Acorns work is, there's different ways to set it up, but pretty much how I have it set up, it is connected to my checking account, right? And when I make a transaction using my debit card or any other transaction that withdraws money from my checking account, what it does is it rounds up the change and it withdraws it and sends it to Acorns, and it invests that money over time. And you could manually make investments to where you buy stocks, or you could have Acorns do it for you. They have a pretty good team where they, could get you a decent, consistent return with the money that has accumulated. For example, right, let's say you bought, I don't know, a bottle of shampoo or something using your debit card. Bottle of shampoo costs, I don't know, $15.90, right? It's gonna take 10 cents, round it up to 16, and take that 10 cents and deposit it into your account. I know it doesn't sound like much, which is good because you probably won't feel it at all. Actually, I can almost guarantee you won't feel it, okay? And that's gonna be on a case-by-case basis, but that roundup is less than $1, okay? And it adds up, right? You have 1,000 transactions, you might just be short, of $1,000 maybe, right? So it adds up. And you could also set it up to where you could round it to, I believe, whichever level you want to round it up to. But that's very important, back to, bringing up your brokerage portfolio to have capital to trade. It's going to be important, okay? And if you could afford to do more than $5 a week, highly recommend it, right? If you're a drinker and you go to the bar, right, for all my casual drinkers out there, it's very easy to rack up, a bill at the bar just getting a drink or two, right? You could easily hit $50. And essentially, I don't say throwing that $50 out the window, but imagine if you put $50 towards investing or towards building your portfolio, right? You can pretty much set yourself up to where you make your money work for you. Because that's the goal. When it comes to investing, you want your money to work for you. And as we go on this journey, I'll make a separate video about this, but you guys will learn that capital is the answer, okay? And we're gonna save that for another video, but by capital is the answer, the more capital you have, the more returns you can get, even taking lower risks. So that's definitely a skill, so I highly recommend that. Now, that's without any stock price action at all. So we're just assuming you're not invested in any stocks, or a stock that you're in is pretty much laying flat. As you make those deposits, you'll watch your portfolio grow, and you'll have a lot more capital to deploy into different stocks and make more returns, more consistent returns while taking lower risk. So that's gonna be it for this video, right? Kept it pretty short. And as we get along and you guys subscribe and follow on this journey, we'll get more into details and we'll have longer videos and make sure you guys become successful investors. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share this video.